Reflections of Terror. The discovery. It was an unremarkable Sunday afternoon when Emma found the mirror. She had been exploring the attic of her grandmother's old house, a creaky, dusty relic filled with memories of a time long past. The attic was packed with forgotten treasures, old photo albums, yellowed newspapers, and furniture covered in white sheets that looked like ghosts frozen in time. In the far corner of the attic, behind a stack of old trunks, Emma noticed something unusual. A large, ornate mirror, its surface covered with a thick layer of dust, stood leaning against the wall. The frame was intricately carved with strange symbols and what looked like faces, their expressions twisted into grotesque smiles. Curious, Emma wiped the dust away with her sleeve, revealing the mirror's surface. It was surprisingly pristine underneath, reflecting her image back at her with an unsettling clarity. For a moment, she felt as though the reflection was staring back at her, not as a mere reflection, but as something alive, something aware. Shaking off the eerie feeling, Emma decided to take the mirror downstairs. It was beautiful in a strange, antique way, and she thought it would look perfect in her bedroom. The strange happenings that night, after placing the mirror against the wall in her bedroom, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Every time she passed by the mirror, she felt a prickling sensation on the back of her neck, as if she were being watched. She dismissed the feeling as nerves and went to bed, but sleep did not come easily. Her dreams were filled with twisted, nightmarish images. Shadowy figures standing in her room, whispering her name, and a constant feeling of being trapped, unable to escape. The next morning, Emma woke up feeling drained. She glanced at the mirror and noticed something strange. The reflection of her room seemed different. The colors were slightly off, the light was dimmer, and the shadows in the mirror appeared deeper, more menacing. She leaned in closer, her face just inches from the glass. For a moment, she thought she saw something moving in the background, a dark shape lurking just out of sight. But when she turned around, there was nothing there. As the days went by, the strange occurrences became more frequent. Emma would catch glimpses of movement in the mirror, shadows that didn't belong, and sometimes she would see herself in the reflection, but with subtle differences. Her reflection would smile when she wasn't or move when she was still. One night, as she was getting ready for bed, she noticed that her reflection was wearing a different outfit than she was. It was a small difference, just a different color of the shirt, but it was enough to send a chill down her spine. She reached out to touch the mirror, and for a brief moment, her reflection's hand seemed to move faster, pressing against the glass as if trying to break through. The truth unveiled. Terrified, Emma tried to avoid the mirror, covering it with a sheet. But the strange occurrences continued. She started hearing whispers at night, soft voices calling her name, begging her to come closer. Desperate for answers, Emma did some research about the mirror. She discovered that it had once belonged to a notorious occultist who was rumored to have dabbled in dark magic. The mirror was said to be a gateway to another world, a world where malevolent spirits resided, waiting for a chance to cross over. Emma realized that she needed to get rid of the mirror, but when she tried to move it, it felt impossibly heavy, as if it was rooted to the spot. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling her mind with dread. The final confrontation that night, the whispers turned into screams. Emma woke up to find the sheet covering the mirror had been torn off, and her reflection was standing inside the glass, staring at her with a twisted smile. The reflection's eyes were dark, empty voids, and its smile grew wider, stretching beyond the limits of human anatomy. Panicked, Emma grabbed a nearby chair and hurled it at the mirror. The glass shattered, and for a moment, everything went silent. But then, from the broken shards, the reflection began to emerge, its body slowly crawling out of the mirror and into the real world. Emma screamed and ran out of the room, slamming the door behind her. She could hear the sound of the creature, her twisted reflection, scratching at the door, trying to get out. In a desperate attempt to stop it, Emma ran to the kitchen, grabbed a can of gasoline, and returned to the bedroom. The creature was halfway out of the mirror, its limbs elongated and grotesque. Without hesitation, Emma poured the gasoline around the room and set it on fire. Flames engulfed the room, and the creature let out a horrifying scream, retreating back into the mirror. The fire quickly spread, consuming everything in its path, including the mirror. The aftermath: Emma barely made it out of the house before it was entirely consumed by flames. She stood outside, watching as the fire department arrived, trying to contain the blaze. As the house burned to the ground, Emma felt a strange sense of relief, but also a lingering fear. She had destroyed the mirror, but the memory of her reflection, that twisted version of herself, would haunt her forever. In the end, the house was reduced to ashes, and the mirror was no more. But Emma knew that some doors, once opened, could never be fully closed, and she could never shake the feeling that, somewhere, in some dark corner of the world, her reflection was still out there, waiting for a chance to return. This story plays on the fear of mirrors, reflections, and the unknown, offering a chilling experience that could easily be expanded into a longer narrative.